but I don't see us. Why is
So,
that?
like, they used to allow you like to walk through the.
It's kind of
the
the
mirrors.
Yeah,
like
like countertops and we put
Oh,
one on the counter.
You can see like, and then have these colors, you know, like how they drive them and how they stir them and stuff like that.
that camera, did that drop.
Very cool.
Waiting for
You know that existed?
Yeah, right?
Things around, but go to see the drop down.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm back. Meeting, camera.
See, they changed it again.
And there it
Okay,
is, almost.
So that's,
There we go.
okay, so there's that. And then I just want to make sure. So recording transcribe.
Mm-hmm.
So we are recording. We're recording, I don't see it.
So I think I'll report tonight is that
Okay, so
in the direction we're going. Here's the document. Does that work?
Well, you're giving me, wow, it's 3 pages.
Well, I pulled some of the other stuff that we talked about to set it up.
To read this all into the record.
Okay, but not tonight. It needs to narrow down.
so now it's recording. Is this right? No, this is another time, isn't it?
Anybody's house lift off in the last couple of days?
No, it's transcribing.
Okay,
we're
covered, you know.
We're
slow.
recording and we're calling the meeting to order at 6:00 PM. First thing on our agenda is citizen comments. As we have no citizens here, we will move on to agenda items. First item on the agenda is consider approval of the February 19th, 2025 meeting minutes and take appropriate action. You should have a copy of those minutes in your packet. Please review.
The only thing that I saw was that the bus tour was economic development and city council. I don't know if they're be picky about that. I think, and I don't think it was necessarily economic development. I think it was planning, yeah, planning and zoning commission.
So do we want to change that from economic development, the minutes?
Yeah, it was the February 6th Farmers Branch City Council meeting and planning and zoning bus tour that focused on economic development.
So it was in cooperation with city council?
Yeah. Yeah, I think it was officially a joint committee between the two.
So I'll move to approve the minutes pending that change. Can we say it like that?
And I will
I
second.
think that's good.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? The motion carries.
And I'll have that change for next month.
Okay, let's move on to receiving subcommittee updates and taking appropriate action.
If y'all would like me to start, because the Gateway of the Globe is the most forthcoming.
I think we need to go in order.
Yeah.
That's Artist Outreach.
Yes.
Rita?
Oh, okay. So, Chris Stevenson, Jennifer Evans, and I have met now twice. And, our goal at this point is to work on the artist directory and to increase the use of it, to increase the, awareness of it, and to also have another artist outreach event, which we have scheduled for April 30th at the rec center from 6 to 7:30. Jennifer is working on that room reservation and all of that. And our goal for this meeting is to get as many artists there as we can, and then have kind of a listening session and a brainstorming session about what do artists in Farmers Branch, living and working in Farmers Branch, what do they want? What sort of events do they want? What sort of support do they want? What are their ideas? What are our current events that they like and they participate in? And just so we can boil all those ideas down and have some actionable items to bring back here to this larger committee that we can start working on. And we think that'll be a good jumping off point for events for this committee to have some real good input from the local artists. What else? We had a question. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, we met with
Oh, yes.
Carrollton Farmers Branch Arts Committee, which is sort of a separate group for artists, and invited them to the April 30th meeting in town. Got a sense of the kind of organization they have. So they're a group mostly of visual artists, I would say, right? And they met at the Carrollton Library. So that was good to exchange information.
And they were thrilled to have us there. I connected with them because David mentioned this group to me and he reached out to them. He connected with somebody who I actually know who was on that committee. So I reached out to her, found out when they met, and the three of us went. It was just this past Saturday. And it's a small group and they are still kind of trying to figure out. I mean, they've been around for a long time. And they do a scholarship, but they have shrunken over time and COVID was difficult for them. So I think they are ripe for some rejuvenation and they were really happy to have us there and to be able to tell us what they do and to have an opportunity to connect with the city of Farmers Branch. We had a couple of questions.
Okay, can you hold on just a
Mhm.
second? I just, it's transcribing, but the blue light went off.
So it can't hear you, so it's not transcribing.
It is for transcribing, but the blue light now is off. But this is on. There's a blue light that usually is here.
Is it capturing everything we're saying right now?
Yes,
I think you're good.
even, and you think it is recording?
Yeah, the little lights are on as well.
Okay, so we're not gonna worry. Do we feel
It
good?
sounded like there was a disconnection and then the reconnection just now.
But the light didn't come back. on.
No.
No, should I push it in or?
It's a Bluetooth disconnection.
Oh, okay.
We should really Google these things.
So then what does that mean?
You've got it hardwired in, so you don't need it to
Okay,
be Bluetooth.
all right.
It
I
means
just,
it's trying to connect probably to someone's.
Yeah,
okay, I just want to make sure.
we should be.
Sorry to interrupt you,
No, that's
Rita.
okay.
No, I'm excited about all your
No,
news and everything.
Back to you on the question.
Yes.
Just two quick questions, because we are new to this committee fairly. We were not here with the when the artist directory was created
Mhm.
and when the artist outreach subcommittee was created, and we want to make sure what the original purpose was and that we are not rewriting or going some new way. Can somebody tell us what the original purpose was for the artist directory and the artist outreach and events?
Yeah, I didn't know if there was maybe a memo.
Something documented, like a
Yeah.
long-term goal or anything?
No.
So,
So,
Everything I've known is exactly what you said. They wanted to get a list of artists, local artists, contact information and all of that, and then figure out what they wanted and start communicating with them, you know. Like, you know, that we had this arts and culture committee and we want to support them, whatever that means.
okay. So it sounds like,
The one time we did have the artist exchange event, we probably had 40 people show up. And we broke it down into small groups. And there was some musicians there were some visual, all kinds of artists there.
Some
I was
dancers.
at that event, yeah.
Yeah, and we kind of asked, we had one of us hosted each table. And we sort of had a list of questions
I
to
have the list.
pose
that
the
Amy sent.
conversation.
Mhm.
And then we took their feedback, and you probably have it.
Mhm.
You know, some of them were wanting money, of course, funding, but there was a lot of good stuff that came back from that, I thought.
Mhm. So I was at that event and I did think it was a very good event. And what we picture going forward is something similar to that, but like the next step. And doing some like really right on the whiteboards, capturing as many brainstorming ideas as we can. And then taking them back, analyzing them, putting them into, categories and seeing where there's overlap and duplication and then what we can do with that. And then also any ideas from them about, we'd like to have the directory be more of a tool that is actively used. And so we'll talk about how we can do that at this meeting and going forward, how to publicize it, but also, you had a question about updating it?
Oh,
And
yeah.
it is on the website, the Arts and Culture
Yeah, I was able
website, so.
to pull it and I
Mhm.
kind of looked through it and I noticed that there were some people that just took like their about page from like their website and loaded that as their CD on some of the open-ended questions and then failed to populate the first few questions that actually are answered in that lower area, but they're missing out because some people focus in on those first few questions to sort them. And so I was curious, like, who controls the updates
Who
or,
has content management?
yeah,
So I was the one who originally, back in 2019, was in charge of artist outreach and creating the artist database and all of that. And at that time, what I would do is periodically go through that artist database, look for duplications, et cetera, and then turn that in to whoever our staff liaison was. And then they would take that back to the person that updated. I don't know if that's still the best procedure, but that's what we did at the time.
Yeah, we can continue to do that. I would suggest that the subcommittee do the updating and then you can hand it to me and we can change that on our web
Yeah, like we
page.
don't have access to the
right,
website or
that's what
nothing
I
like that.
figured.
Yeah,
So I just made the notes of these are the duplications or whatever it was.
clean
and
it
then-
up,
To
yeah.
clean it up, and I did it quarterly.
Okay.
And then I passed it on to the staff liaison who would then turn it in and make those changes.
So you can turn it into me. It probably hasn't been touched in quite a while.
Yeah.
And I believe there was 2 artists exchange.
Happened to.
Because there was one with Maria and then there was one when I first started. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah, there was one at the firehouse and that was much looser. There wasn't it wasn't structured. It was more like a meet and greet sort of thing.
Mhm. And the one before that was at the
At the rec
At
center.
at the rec center.
And my
Okay.
my background was market research, so that's why I put together those
Yeah.
questionnaires and kind of moderated the meeting. My understanding on the original intent for the database was to be, to put together a list of local artists that could be utilized for city events and also access for city residents, so they could find artists should they need a mural painted or musicians at an event, something like that. And I assume that is still the goal.
Yeah, that's what we've been kind
Yeah.
of focused in on. We just want to make sure like utilizing the strategic plan, the 2045, how we can make sure that we're aligning with the city's
That's
needs
critical,
and
yeah.
figuring out like, oh, hey, well, there's this construction project that has a arts grant associated with it. Well, we have all these artists that we can make recommendations like, oh, here's a muralist or a sculptor that works in the community already. Yeah.
Exactly, yeah.
Mhm.
We
But
have-
also if part of the purpose is for Farmers Branch residents to have someplace to go, I don't think they know about it. I mean,
Well, we
and so
we
that-
have done a fair amount in the past of
Mhm.
pushing it out, but communications have been, what's the best way to say it?
Adjusted.
adjusted, and so there aren't as many pathways at this time as there were at that time. There were different opportunities for us to get the word out, that it's being consolidated right now.
That's another update we might wanna think might be opportunity to put more links to it on other parts of the city side or add it to other communications or something, so it's more.
Well, one of the things
More-
that we were gonna do is because of the meeting being on April 30th is I was gonna prepare like a quick little form about it that we could hopefully ask the city to review and post on their Facebook pages so that we could advertise it. And that's,
I think that's a question Bonnie needs to ask
Yeah.
about how can we get that information, disseminate that information.
And it'd be the link to,
yeah, it'd probably just be like, you know, like a one pager type graphic like this that has all the information on it where like they can review it and ask me to update it as they need. And then just put that blast like, hey, this event's coming, please attend
Mhm.
if you're interested.
I will find out.
I think that's a broader question for all of our committees as we have different things come up, whether it's an event, an art competition for an electrical box, or we're trying to get the directory.
Mhm.
What's the process? What do we need to do as arts and culture to get it on all the social content?
Yeah, because we started thinking about dates and stuff like that specifically because the Gateway to the Globe commit or event is Saturday, March 29th. And I'd like to be able to have a QR code for the people that come to the event, be like, hey, do you want to get involved in the city like artistic like outreach event? And then be able to like advertise
I
that
love
while we're
that.
there.
I think that's great, because we will have a table, and I think that's a great way to, for people to stop by and for you to interact and, you know, communicate that this event will happen. What is the time of the event?
6 to 7:30 PM.
And I did see the,
We're wanting to do it at the rec center. I don't think they've officially said what room, but I'm hoping the Pecan.
we did get confirmation that you were assigned. I did get that.
I have the rental application and
Yeah.
I just need to send that into them.
Yeah, turn it in because they get busy. And, but they said they did reserve the room for you. I'm not sure what one, they're all the same, so I think they'll be fine. One of those three.
Mhm.
I think you'll have no problem, but I think that's a great location to have it. I think it's good access for people, so. I think if you really advertise it, Gateway to the Globe, and you have a QR code and I'll, confirm, I know you'll be able to get it on our social media with the historical park.
Okay.
Through Lauren, and, I know for, Branch Arts Live, we were able to advertise it in a few areas and get the word out that way. And, I think if you put it on your own social media also, that.
Yeah, when we went to the Farmers Branch Carrollton Art Association
Yes.
meeting, all they have is a Facebook group and I joined it after the meeting
Oh.
and put a little blast like, hey, because we'd already told them the date and time. And I just followed up with like a, hey, thank you for inviting us and this is when our event is occurring. I copied the blurb that y'all kind of had from the original art exchange at the Firehouse Theater, just to give them an idea of what the event was. And then like added like one little quick like, oh, here, check out this cool place that is basically like an art community swap.
Hmm.
So it reminded them of who we are, kind of talked about what we talked about, invited them to that event, and then added a little bit of extra to maybe keep us present in their mind.
Now, as the directory is set up now, anybody can go on there and submit their
Yes,
business. I am on there, but it's from a few years ago and I did not have a website then, and I would like to add that.
Yeah.
Can I just go on and do that? Or is it
No.
now that I'm in there, I have to now go through somebody else to,
through me.
Correct.
I think if you send me the information, I'm gonna find out what is the easiest way that we can do
Right.
that.
but I'm up here on this committee and I know you and know that that's the case, but we're gonna have other artists who
Yes.
want to update. And we want to be able to tell them what the procedures will be for them. I've changed my Instagram handle, or I've added a website or whatever.
I have some ideas of that we could talk about
I just wanna know the.
I wonder
official
if you,
city.
I wonder if you did go in and do a duplicate, and then we would have to actively just go through that, like you said, and fix the duplicates and merge them or
Well,
whatever.
what I
You'd
did
have
was
to just
pulled it
create a
off
new
of,
one?
created a spreadsheet, and then I could highlight the fields that need to be changed so that they could focus in on those to make it easy for someone to change it, but like within our subcommittee, like one of us would probably take a role to annually send out an email to everyone that's on that list to be like, hey, has anything changed on your
Oh, that's
profile?
good.
Let us know
That's a great
by
idea.
this time, and then we can update it.
Yeah, and then that spreadsheet you can give to me and we can input it and update it.
Mhm.
And we can decide, well, you guys can decide, do you want it updated on January 1st? You want it updated quarterly? How do you want to do that? And we can. I think that's a great idea to do it. You already have a spreadsheet, Jennifer. Great.
I just exported out the
I
information.
know, you're so good. We appreciate you. I mean, I'm just trying to figure out if the owl's working, so thank you very much for doing that. I appreciate that.
And so that's it for our stuff.
Well, thank you all so much for
Great.
meeting. I'm excited and I love the representation at Gateway. That'll be great. So,
I'm really excited to be able to incorporate a lot of the existing city events and include those artists, especially if we have like the Halloween in the park and the venue already existing, and if it's not already being utilized, maybe utilize it for like a themed art project or art competition or something like that. Similar to what we're gonna have at the Gateway of the Globe.
Yeah, well, let's see what the artists themselves want and what they are excited about and are clamoring for and so that we can fit
Just be,
what their desires. are.
just be prepared.
Yeah.
David's not wrong. 95% of it was, we want the city to give us money.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm not exaggerating because I have everybody's, 95% of it was, we want city money. And we don't have any access to that or any
We really didn't
ability.
know how to answer back to that.
Mhm.
You know, they came, they invested their time. They said, here's what we want. And, you know, we were like, here's the money left, you know, that. And so, you know, we're talking to the 5% that are there for something else. And so it made it really, I would say, really difficult. to
Yeah,
network
and that
success.
5%, their interest was in networking with each other, which is fantastic. I think that's really a great thing that we could help facilitate.
Mhm.
But that was not the interest of the great majority. The great majority were looking for city funding for their projects.
Good to know.
So just
Yeah, we'll be prepared. We should be.
have,
prepared for
have
that.
some, yes, have some,
Good
have some,
information.
you know, kind of knowledge about how you're gonna respond and all that. That will be
Just
helpful
start
for
with your
you.
pockets pulled out.
well, and I want to make sure that you all have the step and repeat also for that night. So, and I'll give you some of the, you know, our notepads and our stickers. So you have some swag,
Excellent.
some swag to give away.
We also, that first year, we had some donations from some local organizations to give away. We did a raffle.
yeah, we talked about maybe asking about a small budget for like buying
Just refresh.
whiteboards or
Oh.
getting whiteboards, maybe getting city materials like markers and stuff like that for the boards that we use them, or
Mhm.
easels if,
They may have them there. We can, I would ask.
yeah, when I
Um,
submit that renewal application, I was gonna
Yeah.
include that because I need to say like.
I have
what
dry
kind of
erase
material.
markers upstairs that actually, when I visited Envision Dallas, they make that.
Yeah, I think.
And I have a whole set of them. They gave me as a kind of a swag to Lauren and I, so I have a whole set you could use for that. And I would be willing to, buy a cookie tray for you.
Yeah.
I would do that, that and water, you know, and then with the step and repeat. Yeah. I know. Yeah. Woo! I know, so the big spender that was.
was on diamond encrusted.
The big spenders that we are, but we can do, you know, a cookie tray for you and some water and then some giveaways and make that happen with a step and repeat. I think that's great.
It makes it a nice event.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think that makes them feel like the city really is part of this, not just these three people. You know.
And having it at the rec center, I think is good exposure too. So,
I think also maybe in now creating work with you, but
Excellent.
just based on the events that we have had, and like Amy's saying, the kind of feedback we got. In the marketing world, and Tag can jump in here, but normally what we would do after we did that is we would put together some sort of a questionnaire. And that would be how we'd go back to whoever the new group is, and it would have directed questions that would say, if city money was available for booths at an art walk and you got a discount, would you be interested in that? And that way they know we're not paying for gigs, we're not paying for their art, we're not giving them free space. But if we had an art walk and there was a cost associated with it, you know, that there might be an offset to that. I don't know, I'm just making this up.
No, I like that.
That way-
But
that way
then that's
we're getting directed and
quantifiable.
quantifiable instead of having another event
Right.
where we're just kind of doing, it feels like you're beating your head against the wall.
Right.
That's really good because at Gateway to the Globe specifically, like the artists that are from Farmers Branch that are exhibiting their artwork that signed up for a booth, they're getting fees waived for the tent, for the booth.
it's fantastic.
Yeah.
Because they are a citizen of Farmers Branch.
Yeah.
See, and
I think that
that
is
could be
very-
just a statement.
Yeah,
of
I
how we
think it's
support.
very important that there should be some benefit to being in the directory, a benefit to being
Yes.
a citizen of Farmers Branch if there's a Farmers Branch event that you're involved with. And, you know, especially if we're gonna then also open it up to people outside of Farmers Branch, you know, it should be, let's serve our locals first, or a discount or something. I
I love that.
Yeah, and that
Fantastic.
may be a good way to get the word out about our committee in the first place.
Yeah, and all the things we're doing.
Yeah.
Let's start. wanting
Yeah,
to see it.
exactly.
Mhm.
I think
That's
a
great.
great idea. Thank you. It's good. Okay, I think we jumped over
That's okay
art
though.
and culture and
Yeah.
public spaces, if I'm reading this
It's all
correctly.
right, because the report on that is we have not met yet.
Okay.
We're waiting to meet. There were lots of other meetings taking place.
Great.
So next month we should have some.
Okay,
And the art and public spaces, that's gonna be the electrical boxes and,
Correct.
okay, so keep that in mind, what Dawn said last month, that with school getting out at the end of May, if we were to roll that out, you would wanna roll it out by,
Yeah, I think that ship has sailed, the rollout.
okay,
So we've got to take some
Okay.
time to plan to set it up for when it
Okay.
launches. We're gonna relaunch when the kids launch.
Well, just remember, like,
Okay.
because what we're doing with Gateway to the Globe, when we have events like that, we have our artists, our art and culture committee there, then we can advertise for competitions and stuff like that.
Sure.
The Independence Day.
We
thing
just
will be the
might
next thing.
miss that one, but
Right, yeah.
but no, if you do it in early fall, I think that's a great idea and we can.
But
roll
we
some-
can start advertising it.
Correct.
early, Launch it through the schools and the other locations,
That you
so they
decide.
still have time to be prepared for it, and then,
okay.
And Tad, would there be categories like a student category and a non-student category?
I don't know. We'll
That'll be discussed at their
see
subcommittee meeting, correct?
how many we're doing, and yeah,
Well, and remember, you wanna kind of have your plan on your map of what ones you're interested in.
Yep.
And then what your
all
themes
money
will be.
available. We're heading toward the big.
Hey, well, we start,
Cookies and water kind of budget.
but in a few years, we may not be laughing as we're driving by and seeing all these wrapped electrical boxes. So I'm all about it, and the council's really excited about it. So if we can, get at least a plan, and you can help them get what you,
He's already done it.
okay.
We got it.
She was quick to hand off.
So what I would love is when we go to council, is that July?
It's now once a year. Last year it was in November, wasn't it?
So I'd love something by November.
Wait a minute,
No, there's actually two, if I remember reading it correctly.
yeah, but I thought that there may be, well, one One is you and then one is a presentation, one is the two, let me look.
Whenever I have to
Okay.
go again,
July 16th.
that's what I thought.
You'll
Yeah.
have something to.
I'd love to have something to say then.
Yep.
Yes, so that's the
That's-
board chair meeting,
that's
but
my
the
goal.
board update year in review is in November. That's
Okay.
where we did the PowerPoint and the whole presentation.
I'm just
Okay.
talking about the next.
July
meeting.
16th.
Great, love something by then.
So each committee needs to have a report on what we're doing by then for you.
Well, it's nice to
It's
update.
helpful.
Just good to know what our goals
Gives
are.
me some talking points. Okay, are we good?
Yep.
Arts and culture festivals.
Okay. Right now, we have several things kind of out and about. I know from CFB alone, we have the whole district art show at the hospital north on Josie, the Regional Medical Center. And that's up till, after spring break, and then it comes down. It's been up for a month. And then if you go to the Mansky Library, all of our Farmers Branch schools have their, it's an art show for them. And that's at the Mansky Library right now. And then Fred Lockwood, did an installation of our painted rocks that our students did, and it's out here in Mary's garden. So after, if it's not too dark, you could go.
And you have
See
a
it?
picture
It's
of
not-
it that we worked with him last week and he raked a little area and we are gonna bring back our paint a rock in the park for some traffic and I think it's want to say Sunday a month. And we just talked about it and then people can paint a rock. So they could take one with them. They can take one, leave one is what we call it. And they could add to the garden, to the rock garden. So it's quite fun.
Where's the record?
It's right in front of the little free library,
Okay.
right in Mary's garden, right out here.
Gotcha.
Is there one at the Rose Garden too? Or not the Rose Garden, the one that's behind the, like the extension garden,
The Jeff Fuller Rose Garden, there's a second Rose Garden. That's,
that's behind the townhomes
yes.
Is there a rock?
garden there?
Not that we have done, but
There is, I think I have seen like some citizens just.
I know Pam, yeah, it used to,
But the
during
place is
COVID, it
the,
was yeah. It became kind of a hit on YouTube or somewhere where take one, leave one, so something for people to do. And I think at one event, Pam Smith, who was our, she had people painting rocks, so she could have put them out there too. Kind of like a surprise, it's something fun, so puts a smile on your face, so.
Yeah, because March 6th was Texas Big Arts Day, and
Yeah.
so that was part of what our school district did you do 5 different categories, and that was one of the things that we did to promote art in the city.
Is it that date every year?
It is the first Thursday of March. So,
And if you look at the staff report, I believe it lists the actual schools that were represented, that was part of it. And
it's becoming actually more and more popular every year with our students because they all are like, I want some, I want some, I want some, and I can, only buy so many rocks on a budget. And then I clean them and then I bag them and then I deliver them and then, so, yeah.
and they look great,
And
the
they look
pictures,
awesome.
yeah, they came out quite fun, so.
Yeah, they do a good job. And then Fred is such a gem. He always does his installation. So I go, here's the rocks. And he,
And then he coordinates it with me and he rakes the little area himself. We picked a few areas throughout the garden and he takes it upon himself to have at it and he does a fantastic job. So thank you to CFB for that.
thank you.
Do they leave the rocks here?
Mhm. And we decided the first year, this is our 4th year doing it.
Yeah.
And we decided that first we thought, oh, it's an art installation, but then we're like, but if a kid, cause we do camps out there, if a kid takes one, he takes one, that's the fun of it. And then they all get
They
rearranged
get
and
rearranged, so every time you look, you'll see a different design.
Yeah. we try to keep up with it and then we add or, but you know, he comes back
We
and
don't
we
want to be stressed around.
Interactive.
Yes.
Interactive.
yeah,
Yes. but
interactive. I
we don't
like that,
want to
Rita.
have to police it. We want them to enjoy it.
Yes,
I mean, whatever,
that's
and if that means
It's
they,
hands-on.
and if that means they take it home to enjoy it, that's A-okay with us.
Yes.
We should have a
Exactly.
webcam on it.
Yeah.
You can watch the installation change.
And the joy on their faces when they hit the rock they want.
It would be interesting just to see that
Yeah.
interaction with kids.
Yeah.
Or adults. It could
I would
be.
say, or no.
That's quite fun.
The Patrick SpongeBob ones.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I already picked out my favorite. I'm
I know,
like,
there's some fun ones here.
ooh, it is. It was fun.
Really liking those.
Yeah.
And then as far as Brain Charts Live, we just need to start getting probably on some food trucks and because we already have the date and everything reserved. So that's gonna be our next venture to see if we can get that to happen. So, there we are.
And I've already got people that are excited to submit,
Yes.
that are already, you know,
Ready.
we've got it on our calendar. We're ready to submit. Hope we get picked.
That's very exciting.
Have an email for you.
Oh, great.
Okay, strategic planning.
You wanna talk? You?
No, I've
Oh,
already talked.
Well,
Great.
so we met, had a good 2-hour meeting.
Wow.
And,
awesome.
basically what Tad handed to the two of us just a minute ago, we've pulled together the statement of purpose, that's listed on the boards and commission on the city website. We pulled together the duties that are listed somewhere else on the city thing. We pulled together the website statement that's listed, somewhere else. And then, from that, we're working on a strategic statement for the Arts and Culture Committee. And so he's kind of has a draft of that for us to look at. And then lastly, and this is probably the most important part, I would say, is everyone familiar with Simon Sinek and the why thing? Simon Sinek is a big podcaster guy, whatever.
Yeah, he's gonna-
And he, his whole deal is that what is the why behind whatever it is. And so we're working on a why. And so it's, I think Tad called it a manifesto, which is kind of an aggressive word. But the why is a nice calmer word for it. But basically, we put together, some ideas and statements like art is necessary, art should do this, and just some really good
Right,
statements
yeah.
that we feel like, everyone can agree on. This is what the value that art adds to the community, which is why we exist. That's what the purpose of what we're doing. And so we've had our meeting. We now have our initial draft to go through. We'll probably have another meeting before the next committee, but we will have this ready, I'm gonna say, that by the next meeting to hand out to everyone to get input and feedback on.
That's very exciting. Great work, you guys.
So,
Yeah.
the idea behind what we got together about was strategic planning, because we all talked about it in different ways, is really to set the tone for everything that happens here. And then you're gonna see as we refine this, so it becomes the way to define the rest of the actions
So everything is filtered through that lens. Yeah.
through the lens, right? Not through the subcommittee,
Right.
but just through the lens that it has established for the overall
Oh,
committee.
I like
And,
that.
and so that's why we're not just trying to just spit it out
Sure.
and say, here we go. And he doesn't like manifesto, I can tell.
He likes the
Why?
why.
Leo come up with that. What am I?
What is a
what am I
manifesto? The idea behind it though.
Learn to like it.
I don't care what it gets called. It's all about the purpose, right? The idea is, we're all pretty passionate people, and I think most artists are pretty passionate people. So how do we define that so others understand expectation And so the why, the manifesto, the statement of purpose has to be very emotionally driven. And if we can define that and we can all agree with it from a direction standpoint, I think it will solve what all newbies that came into the room, what was that, 8, 9 months ago? And we all just kept asking the questions.
Mhm.
What are we doing? Why are we doing that? How do we do that? Who
Right.
says what?
Right.
This will set it up so that there's just a definition. And then when you go in July and give your report, you can say, you guys gave us a little letter last week and you set all this out. And as a committee, we are so defined where we're going, what we're doing, and why we're doing it. And so I think from a strategic planning committee standpoint, that's what we wanted to get defined. And then the other committees really start to answer
Right.
what.
It becomes more of a cohesive plan instead of siloed subcommittees.
I love it.
That's really cool because I think what we were hearing was, and I think Tad really made this crystal clear as we met. This committee has been very tactical. You know, we set our goals and everything is tactical. We haven't had the umbrella on top of it telling us why we're doing what we're doing. And so that's what we're gonna end up with is so we can keep doing our tactical stuff. We'll have the why, and then we'll start trying to align and figure out, you know, are we doing this tactical thing and does it have anything to do with our strategy or not? We may discover that, but until we have the strategy, we don't know.
And hopefully it'll help the city council understand how to provide direction or why we're asking to do something they didn't provide direction on and where the purpose is for the city.
Love it.
And we pulled from the 2045 document, some of the stated goals of the city and, long-range goals and how art would play a part in each of those stated goals.
Right.
I love that. And I think we should move strategic plan to the top of the subcommittee.
I think it makes sense
Well, we're- Yes.
for now.
We're
because if you're
alphabetical right now, but yes.
If
we
you're
can.
looking at it from a hierarchy
I
standpoint,
love that, though. I love how you described it as the umbrella for the rest of the committee too.
Yeah.
I really like the way that y'all are moving towards the like statements that really pull on people's heartstrings, because just reminding people like during the boredom and like the just lackluster that was COVID or the writer's strike and stuff like that, it really reminded people like why art is important, why crafting and creating and, you know, being able to fill that time with something you enjoy instead of just something like utilitarian, like, okay, well, you can do this instead of that. Well, this one really just engages your left side of your brain and really.
Well, I mean, and there's a lot of research that's been done, a lot of brain research about how critical that is. My dad is in a program at UT Southwestern, and he's 87 now, and he's been a part of this study for maybe 2 or 3 years on aging, and a critical component of aging well is art.
And neuroplasticity
Yes.
is what my research is based on.
And so my dad now is just obsessed with going to art galleries and he does lectures online. That was his dream come true for his birthday, is he booked himself in back-to-back online lectures for a 12-hour period. Like we had to call in on his birthday. Happy birthday, have a great day. Click. Because he was in these
I
lectures.
love it.
And he, you know, art museums in New York and Edinburgh, Scotland, you know, all over the world. And so art is not only something that offers joy to us and pleasure, it is critical for our brains. So, and our aging population, but also development in younger children. I mean, there's just so many benefits. So it's really a health thing as well.
Even
That's
just
funny.
Health and wellness.
between the different
it's
age
funny you
groups.
say the health thing because we will address that as well.
We have.
Very specifically,
Right.
Art
as
is
a
not
part of it.
just for artists. Art is for the non-artists as well, even if they don't realize it. It is, you know, when you walk into a room, whether it feels good to you or not good to you.
Mhm.
And whether you realize it or not, it is the sound and the temperature and the lighting and the art and the arrangement. Everything affects how we go through the world. And if we could do that citywide, if we could, my dream is that when somebody who works outside of the city of Farmers Branch and drives home at the end of the day, and that the tension of their day starts to dissipate as soon as they get off the highway and they see landscaped medians and they see art and they see people enjoying the sidewalks and the parks, and that their coming home begins before they hit their driveway.
We have to balance that, oh, there's a cop. Because they are out on every corner. Which I like, I think
You
it's.
want to relax, you're driving slowly.
At the posted speed limit.
Maybe we need to do an art installation around the city that has the
Slow people
speed
down.
limits associated.
Well, and I enjoy, like, we're talking about rocks and how, there are, well, I love rocks. And so I don't usually go to souvenir shops anymore when I travel. I pick up the local rock and I'm like, what does this look like? And whether I paint it, whether I put it under my windowsill or put it in one of my potted plants, I'm like, I look at rocks differently now since painting and just for different reasons. So like you said, anything could be art. As far as light, I was just in Austin, and one of the museums, they have this whole area where wherever you stand, it's a different color light, and
Oh, at the Blanton.
I loved it. I never experienced, so I saw a whole dimension. It was so great, and learned about light, and I was all excited by the time. I don't know, it was great, and it was
Imagine if
new.
we had something like that in a public park.
Mm-hmm,
Yeah.
yeah,
How
love it,
lovely would that be?
Mm-hmm.
fantastic.
Or the wind chime thing in Melbourne. That was amazing. Yeah, there's so many different.
Well, thank you all for
Being a
that.
city in the park, we need some art in the park.
Yes, they're trying to put the trees back in the sustainability committee, so let's add the art with it.
Some fake trees.
No, real trees. We lost a few of the horrible storms, so they're replanting.
Well, that's great work, you guys.
Yeah, well,
It was awesome. Thank you. We really look forward to what's to come. That'll be
agree.
excellent. Okay. Moving forward, sister cities. I met with myself. And I went ahead and did a mission statement and all that because I kind of thought that was something we were supposed to address. So Farmers Branch Sister City Program Mission Statement. The Farmers Branch Sister City Program fosters global partnerships and cultural exchange by building meaningful relationships with communities around the world. Through educational, artistic, economic, and civic collaborations, we promote mutual understanding, friendship, and shared growth. Our mission is to celebrate diversity, strengthen international ties, and enhance the cultural and economic vitality of Farmers Branch and its sister cities. So the goals of our committee are to support City Council's vision, align efforts with the City Council's goals to revitalize and strengthen the Sister City program, ensuring its sustainability and impact, to plan and host events, organize welcoming ceremonies, cultural exchanges, and community events to engage and celebrate visiting delegations from our sister cities, to coordinate housing and hospitality, secure comfortable accommodations for guests, ensuring a welcoming and enriching stay in Farmers Branch, to foster community connections, create opportunities for city residents to engage with sister city guests through cultural activities, educational programs, and networking events, promote cultural exchange, develop initiatives that highlight the traditions, history, and arts of our sister city while sharing Farmers Branch's unique culture, enhance international partnerships, strengthen relationships with our sister city through ongoing collaboration, communication, and mutual support. And some proposed events I had for the sister city exchange would be an opening ceremony with the mayor and council, a formal welcome event featuring speeches, cultural performances, and exchange of gifts to strengthen diplomatic and cultural ties, Attendance at local cultural events invite guests to experience Farmers Branch's vibrant arts and heritage by attending events such as Branch Arts Live and Dia de los Muertos celebration. A community welcome dinner, host a dinner at one of Farmers Branch's local restaurants, provide an opportunity for guests and city leaders to connect over a shared meal. A city tour and facilities showcase, a guided tour of Farmers Branch's parks, historical sites and key city facilities highlighting the community's amenities, growth, and commitment to sustainability. A cultural exchange workshop, organizing interactive sessions where guests and residents can share traditions, music, dance, and cuisine from their respective cultures. A business and economic roundtable, facilitate discussions between local business leaders and sister city representatives to explore economic partnerships and opportunities for collaboration. A school and community engagement, arrange visits to local schools and community centers and allow students and residents to interact with sister city delegates and learn about their culture. And then a farewell reception, a closing event to reflect on the visit, celebrate new friendships, and discuss future exchanges and collaborations.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
I will add that the city of Garbson did reach out to us and say they responded to us and they're looking and speaking with their administration and association. So
Great.
conversation, Bassett Law still hasn't responded, but we're still emailing them and the other one hasn't responded either. But at least we have one.
One is great.
We're getting there.
We can do a lot with that.
And next month I will be there. So if there's anything,
where?
in Garbson.
Oh.
So, I was gonna reach out to Megan before I, go and, if.
Maybe take her up, take them a rock.
I know. I know. I feel like Charlie Brown. You know, the Halloween, I got a raw.
You can put everybody's initials.
I know. But I was gonna reach out to Megan to see if there was anything, if she wanted me to ask that. Yeah. So I will be there.
Okay, moving on.
Thank you for doing that. If you'll send that to me,
I have it
And
as a
then-
document. I can send it.
yeah, that'd be great.
Ready to
And
go.
then I will, yeah,
I stopped it. Mission statement.
yeah. Well, because I would like to include that and then what you guys have discussed, that once you have it. that
When we
you-
get it final,
Yes,
I'll be able to send it. to
that,
you.
that sounds great. That's perfect. Thank you.
Okay, moving on to Gateway to the Globe. Very exciting.
Alright, so first thing is, you've probably seen the signs around town. If you haven't, and if you know of a place where you would love to put one, let me know, because I still have about 10 more in my car that I need to drop in spots. So we met this past Monday. We're wrapping up the final planning. I wanna say the numbers that I got. I believe it's 23 performers. There's supposed to be 14 on the main stage. And the different countries that are represented include Eritrea, Ireland, Spain, some Asian countries, Peru, Poland, India, Native Americans, Mexico, Africa, Hawaii. And yeah, it's pretty exciting. I think they have like I want to say 14 or 17 food trucks that are all gonna be out on Ford Road.
That's a lot.
Yeah,
of
so
different
for
food.
It's live, make sure that you attend or, for a week.
Taste
Yeah.
test all of them. so
Yeah.
we can pick the best.
Sample.
Yeah, so that's just specifically food trucks. We also offered like the people to have like food booths that. Like if they have like a pre-made, preheat, that they could just keep warm or whatever, then they can also have like opportunity to give out. Samples like that too. So there might be some mixed in with the like market space area, the venue area, venue 1842.
Yeah, you said it right.
Inside is gonna have like an art exhibit and then some performers inside there as well as
Nova
some,
Pangaea, yeah.
as well as some like artist vendors. I think there's gonna be like a henna tattoo artist. There's gonna be like little Gateway to the Globe logo tattoos handed out. This is the shirt that I'll be wearing. Unfortunately, they don't have one for sale or for everyone. but the logo, they'll have like little tattoos and stuff like that to give out to people. There's
Kid zone?
there's a kid zone, yeah, where there's like activities and like a not a ropes course, but like a American Ninja Warrior type
An
thing. Obstacle course,
Yeah.
yeah. And then some craft areas.
Pinata?
There's 4 pinatas that they had one large one that they broke last year. This time I think they broke it up into like quarterly hourly sessions where they'll break them. Local vendors, including the Tap House at Mustang Crossing. Oh gosh, what
Oh, Bankhead Brew?
Bankhead Brewery donated the
Candy.
candy that's gonna be filling the pinatas and stuff like that. There's gonna be booths for obviously our community, our arts and culture, and then the other boards and stuff like that. So if y'all can volunteer for,
I have the sign
hour,
up sheet right here.
there's a
so I
sign-up
don't
sheet.
Pass around.
yeah, for the personnel that is from the city and like the volunteers and stuff like that, they don't have any specific rules for us. We're basically just supposed to go around and be liaisons, engage the crowd. We'll have like a QR code that we can like engage the people so that if they have ideas for next year or ways to improve, then we can incorporate that. We want to be able to continue this, constantly make it bigger and better every year, different cultures, and make sure that we're engaging everyone. There's a little passport with stickers that, you know, if you visit certain areas, then you get a little sticker that say you visited it.
Is that for everyone or for just the kids?
It can be for adults
Okay.
too. I mean, hopefully they make enough where everyone will get one, but it'd be cool if like, you know, they make it in a way that they can carry it on to the next year and be like, oh, well, we covered these countries this year or these in the next year and stuff like that. So, yeah,
What is the expected attendance?
expected attendance. Oh, man. I want to say that they had like 3,000 to 5,000 last year.
Uh,
It was quite a bit.
I
mean,
thought it was about
shocking.
3, but yeah.
Yeah. And so we're hoping to make it obviously much bigger. Yeah.
Well, and it's 3 to 10, so when we do have a table and a booth, and I will be there and Jennifer's gonna be there, but if anyone could, like, Chris, thank you, he's donating 2 hours to come man the booth, because I would love someone, if they're gonna stop by, to be able to talk to someone from our committee.
Yeah, and then like I said with earlier with the artist outreach, like hopefully we'll also have ways to further engage people with our community or with our committee. And, you know, incorporate and bring in ideas and stuff like that to improve upon all of the events. So, yeah,
That's
I'm
great.
really excited. It's coming up. We have the walkthrough next week. And
Yep,
then the event
it's gonna
is
be
on that
here.
Saturday, so.
Well, and thank you to Firehouse Theater for really plugging it on social media.
Oh, yeah, the branch, a branch review
So-
was in your newspaper. They had it
Yeah.
on there as well. And
So
then
thank you, David,
these
for
are being
getting that
handed
out, all the
in our
information.
too.
We've done some e-blasts too, to our.
Fantastic.
Yeah, the social media accounts have really pushed it. They're
Mhm.
really-
Yeah, it's a great way to showcase the, historical park and the venue, so. I think it'll be great. So come on out. I think the weather's supposed to be lovely.
And one thing I want to make sure, I hadn't thought about it until after the fact, but like the vendors and performers and stuff like that that attended and performed this year and last year, we'd love to be able to incorporate them into that artist directory as well,
Mhm.
so that we don't have to start from scratch every year.
That's great.
On that note, we did have a question about, it was my understanding when the artist directory was created that it was for people who lived and worked in Farmers Branch, lived and or worked in Farmers Branch. And so can we invite?
It's supposed to be lived and or worked.
Okay. Okay.
And does it have to be immediately, or could it be like, oh, I lived here 20 years ago?
No, it's supposed to be people that are here currently. Yeah, active, yeah. Current residents.
Doesn't mean you can't capture all the same material information that has.
Just somewhere else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but if it's a restaurant that is local or something like that, or a performer that's local, that we'd love to keep them on there, get them on there if they're not already on there.
Exactly.
Great. Cool.
For sure.
Way to grow
Farmers Branch.
Oh, yeah.
Have a
Thank you,
realtor there.
Jennifer. That's great. We're really excited.
I hope I see you all there.
And thanks for going to all the meetings. We really
Yeah,
appreciate your
it's all
time that you spent.
Oh, I
It's been
did,
like 7 meetings that Jennifer has gone to, so.
one
thank
thing
you for
I
that.
do want to add, thank you for bringing
Mhm.
that up, is, so the Gateway to the Globe meeting. has-
And I'm gonna
Well,
talk
that's
about that.
about to
Okay,
be.
perfect. I'll let you.
Yep.
Yeah.
Perfect. So the last one, we had special events subcommittee, so we voted for that last time. So, it's gonna be a little bit different than the way we proposed it last month. Gateway to the Globe and special events, subcommittee will be merging into a new committee called, Events Review Subcommittee. And I'm going to read a statement. It is in your staff report, but I'm going to read it out loud. It's file number 25221. And it says the Gateway to the Globe and Special Events Committees are being merged into a newly formed Events Review Subcommittee under the Arts and Culture Committee. This subcommittee will be responsible for evaluating upcoming events to ensure their alignment with city council goals. It will meet regularly to discuss, review, and offer input on events, with members providing updates to their respective boards. The community special events team will collaborate with the subcommittee to gather all relevant feedback. The Events Review Subcommittee will meet at 6 p.m. in the lobby conference room at City Hall on the following Thursdays in 2025. So all the dates, it's once a month, and they're all already on the calendar. And so it'll be overseen by the Community Special Events Team, but the subcommittee does fall under the Arts and Culture. I believe that Jennifer will be representing us. And they're picking several people from other boards. If you were interested, you were to contact the special events manager by a certain date. I think an email went out, and so that's moving forward. So the first meeting, so once Gateway to the Globe is over, it'll become this Events Review Subcommittee.
Yeah, so the first one right after the March 29th event,
Is a
probably
recap.
would be a recap, yeah, kind of hash out like what we can improve, what we need to change, pivot on and stuff like that. So,
And then after that, it will continue. So, and they will talk about the events that are happening for 2025, 2026, and more input from the boards. And that's per the direction of the council's way I understand it.
yeah,
And if we want to attend those just as residents, there's no concern about conflict or having too many.
nope, not at all.
Okay.
My understanding is as a subcommittee, we're able to have as many people there as possible. We did move the meetings from here to City Hall. If you walk into City Hall and there's the reception area on the right, underneath where the stairs used to be, there's a conference room in there that, you know, as more board members from the different boards attend and stuff like that, we might outgrow, but they've talked about possibly moving us into like the council area or something like that, if we expand upon that, but the intent is to have it more flexible, like the subcommittee where we can engage more of the people in the community that have ideas or want to speak out about how, you know, this is how it used to be, we'd like to return to this, or, you know, how we can incorporate it.
Don't we need to be careful though, because we would be in violation of four.
All of us attended, yes.
Any
Yeah, walking.
board needs to, like, all of historical park can't send all their people.
Right.
Correct.
So we have to be very careful. So we can, Jennifer's serving and probably only one other person needs to go. And we could trade out who that one other person is. But we need to be very careful about that. Or if Jennifer's unavailable, somebody else can go. But we've got to be careful and really only have two.
Okay, yeah.
Yes, our
Correct.
quorum is 4, so it has to be under 4. So it'd be 3 or under,
I
but,
would say two.
I'd say two is safe.
and that's what they would like to represent from several boards. It's the way I understand it.
But we could definitely, share that
And Jennifer will.
responsibility
report back.
/ benefit
Mhm.
that you could attend, you know.
Yeah, I'll
We
try
just need to be careful.
I'll try to remind our committee as one is upcoming to see if there's anything that you want me to add to those subcommittees, or if someone is really excited about something, they could be the one to join me or something.
I love that. It's fantastic.
So is this all city events like Halloween in the park and Christmas and everything?
My understanding is yes.
Okay,
And it is a subcommittee of our committee, not a subcommittee of all the different.
say it one more time.
Yes, it falls under our,
It is
Yeah,
a arts and culture
culture
subcommittee,
subcommittee.
not a historical park also has a subcommittee. and-
No, it,
Okay.
it falls under the Arts and Cultures, committee run by the Community Special Events team.
Under the Parks and
But just to clarify, so everybody's thinking, it's events review, not planning. We are not responsible for planning or putting on the events or logistics or anything like that.
Sounds good.
It's just input.
So
Like-
if we had an idea here for a new event, it wouldn't have to go under them? Or is that they're just to review things
I
after?
think
they
we're
come?
still not adding events at this time.
It would, and I would say it depended on the event. So kind of like the pickleball, that's under economic development tourism. General fund versus, depends on the event,
So is that event gonna be part of this events review?
because
Because it's
It's-
city focused,
this is
Not-
not city
No.
funded.
economic.
it's economic. Oh,
This
got
is
it.
the
Okay.
PTA and they work with me as part of the sponsorship. So the sponsorship versus city funding completely different.
And I believe these are community events that they put on mostly, because
Yeah.
each entity puts on their own events also, like the historical park has Mad Hatter Tea, for instance, and different events. Whereas falls under the community special events team, which would be 4th of July or, yeah,
4th of July.
Fourth-
Halloween, the-
Halloween in the branch, Christmas.
But your Mad Hatter's Tea would not follow.
No,
Because it's run by another committee.
it's
Different.
My guess would be this would be a response to changes that were made last year and giving community voice,
Yeah,
different-
an opportunity.
that's absolutely what it is.
So-
There's citizens that came to the city council and were like, I was upset because this is no longer there or such and such. And so they want to have an opportunity for the citizens to be engaged through that subcommittee. So when I was saying that y'all could be involved, I meant as like a citizen, but then I failed to recognize that
It's
the
our-
daisy chaining.
But we could
Tell
give you
citizens-
information
As
for
a-
for you
Or
as
tell
a
your neighbors,
yeah.
go to this meeting.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, like hypothetically speaking, you guys wanted Memorial Day. See, back home Nevada, Memorial Day Armed Forces is huge.
Mhm.
All
We
your
used to have a
residents,
Memorial Day.
yeah, all your residents want to, that's a community event. Unlike, the World Firefighter Championship, again, that's tourism.
Mhm.
Pickleball, tourism, Mad Hatters, because it's a revenue producing. A lot of these community events are free to citizens.
Yeah, so if it's funded through the city
General
and
fund.
managed by the city,
Yeah.
then this subcommittee is going to review what the city is doing.
The resident.
So our artist outreach event is an event, but it's not like a community event, even though anybody in the community could come, we don't expect it to be.
And
Well, it's
It's
also
a
not,
small
it also
subset.
doesn't have a yeah, you don't have a budget for that. I think part of it is, we're talking about where does the money come from? There's no money for that, so
I think that's the deciding factor.
the money, yeah.
The city is spending money and the city has employees focused against it. The subcommittee will review the things they're executing.
Yes.
Well, we'll have input, if they want to add something or have an idea, they're open to ideas.
We can use our artist directory to infuse all of these events with as much art as possible. There you go.
Wouldn't that be-
Which is actually a great idea, is to reach out to the artist and say, go to this subcommittee meeting. That's a great idea. So it can also be, a way to spread the word. Very smart. I like that.
Well, and like I read through this committee, did the Mad Hatter Tea, was in charge of that. So I reached out to Brianna because we wanted a string quartet and we like working with local school district and the local college. So I emailed her to say, do you have a recommendation? And was able to get a recommendation to use for Mad Hatter Tea and hopefully some future events. So that was a way
Which
of
was excellent.
partnering together in our local community. And it worked out beautifully.
Okay, are we clear
So
on?
as we finish that, I'll just, so it's on record, Jennifer, if you're not able to go, let me go. No, I'm happy to
Absolutely.
go be voice or be the second chair in attendance and stuff on events as well. So
The next one will be Thursday, April 3rd at City Hall in that conference room.
Might try and go to that one.
You should. That's two. There you go.
Yes.
Whole bed is always being.
Just any for next, was it any for next time?
Yeah, we need to ask if there are any items that need to be, well, we need to review the,
And we already talked
Oh.
about the big art day. So, then here at the end, I'll receive it. That's it.
you have one statement after that I'll ask the question because of the electrical box thing. It says a person from the city will be here to discuss. Is there a person assigned at the city for electrical boxes?
As far as where they're at, or the funding, or?
Well, it says staff will be present to give an update on the electrical box, signal box art fund.
Well, it's really subcommittee. We'll change that.
Oh, okay.
I
Yeah.
was gonna say, cause I'm still looking for funding.
So I'm looking for, who has the money?
There's the update. Funding, I'll let you know.
It's under the rock.
Right.
My goodness. Yeah, I'll change that to subcommittee. Yeah. And then,
we're ready to move on to
yes.
updates.
So, yeah,
Go ahead.
just, you can read that and
Yeah, we're ready to receive updates on art and culture and City of Farmers Branch current events, projects and upcoming activities.
And we talked a lot about that, so I just want to share that the links are still here and we'll update it as needed.
Mhm.
And we've talked a lot about it. David, do you want to talk about what's going on at Firehouse?
Sure, we just did SpongeBob Youth Edition last weekend. Had about
It's the
five
theme.
hundred people
Wow.
come to 6 shows. Had 15 kids that were involved in it, and it's really good and fun. And it's a big show and hard show, and I'm kind of surprised it's a youth edition because it's hard musically and just all the way around. And what's interesting is this generation honestly didn't really grow up with SpongeBob. So they don't really know it as well as the 20, 30 somethings that grew up with it. So watching the 30 somethings teach 12-year-olds, even how to sing SpongeBob SquarePants. was,
It's a squirrel that lives underwater. Who's Texan?
by the time they got through the whole rehearsal process in the shows, they are now fans. So it was really good. Our next main stage show is Godspell, which starts on April 3rd and runs almost up to Easter. There's no show on Easter Sunday, but the 3 weekends in April is the next show. So, and it will be great.
And you
Thank
have
you for that.
auditions upcoming for the wedding
And
singer.
we have auditions upcoming for the Wedding Singer, which will be phenomenal. That show is when Economic Development is bringing the health, business is the kind of their target. Pernell told me just a moment ago that they've already had really strong response to that. So initially, when we did this with Annie, there was 30. And so I'm hoping that it's going to even be bigger than that. So
Fantastic.
it'll be a great show and they'll be impressed and we'll have fun at it. So
I'd love to be able to incorporate the auditions, getting the auditioning, the knowledge of it out to our artist outreach.
Yeah,
That's great.
if we can, know where to send it. So we already talked to, if there is a communications director at the city, then we're already sharing some information with them about specific shows, but we haven't been doing that with auditions. So that would be a great opportunity to.
You might want to, have y'all looked at the artist database carefully?
Mhm.
There's not actors and singers
No, I
and
know.
stuff like that on
There's
there.
some dancers
It
stuff
is-
like that, but it's minimal.
Look at your dancers again. That's primarily dance. You really need to,
Teachers.
that is not who you have on that artist database. I'm just saying, unless things have changed dramatically since it was my responsibility,
And then is there?
There's like 65
you
of them now.
have primarily visual artists, some musicians. The dancers that are listed are dance teachers. Some of them qualify for the Spectacular Follies, if you know what I mean. Like that,
They've had long careers.
like they have long careers
Long careers.
and that would not be appropriate for them because,
They don't know SpongeBob either.
well, and many of them that are listed are not dancing anymore. We're talking about if they're 70, 75
Okay, if
years
that's
old.
the case.
Yeah.
If that is the current status of the directory. How do we expand that, David, to include actors and other?
But my question
performers?
is, what's the value for that?
I don't know. It may be the value is just that they get in on the loop of,
But they've got reach and access to that. And the actor, we have ways we see all the auditions and everything.
But I mean, there, no artists, well, no artists. There's a lot of artists that like migrate to other genres and stuff like that. And maybe this artist outreach gives them an avenue to go test out their acting skills, audition.
I just, I think that's just a
I'm of the
lot of.
opinion there's no advertising, there's bad advertising.
No, I agree, but are we gonna, my concern is if that is not the interest of the people on your list and you start sending them information that is not interesting to them, will it dilute will it be received as spam? It will dilute what they're receiving and then you're gonna turn them off. I don't think you're gonna get anybody off that list that's gonna go audition.
Or maybe it's something to talk about when you have your meeting
I mean, yeah, go for it.
and ask them if that's even something they're interested in.
Yeah, and we might find a way to disseminate information where it's not always an email blast that fills up their inbox that they get.
But we don't have access to the way, it goes through the city. We're not creating any of those emails. The database doesn't belong to us. The database belongs to the city.
So when we have like our event on April 30th.
Somebody else
I can-
has to send it through.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
I was thinking I could pull.
No, we cannot do that.
That would be misuse of information.
Okay,
correct.
all right, so do I just give it to you, or do you know?
You need to go
Yeah,
through Bonnie.
Okay, all right, I'm glad you clarified that.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna give you a second name because I will not be here next month.
Okay.
And so I want to get with you and we'll talk off after this or,
And that may also
Another
impact how you.
but over the
send
next
out
2 weeks.
information, because you're going through staff, and so you want to make sure that you're not bogging them down. And that everything that you're sending.
But
has
we
to-
also, yeah, we also want to promote your event. So,
Oh,
We'll talk
absolutely, but it has to
details.
go through the right
Yeah.
channels.
Yeah, there's some things that y'all used to do that I don't think that we do anymore, which is like that monthly newsletter, which I only had received one before it stopped occurring, but it provided a good location for people to like see the things that are occurring or going to occur.
That was prior to city council deciding that they preferred to narrow down the fields of communication
Right.
and kind of distill what was being sent out.
Yeah.
Which makes sense. If you want to know that information, you can find the list on the website very easily of what's going on.
Exactly.
yeah, there's a button for the artist directory.
Or you can now get it from the Branch Herald.
But we'll talk
Okay.
before I go and we'll make sure.
No, I'm glad
it's
you had that
approved.
clarification.
Mhm.
Okay, are there any agenda items we need to include for next month? Then I,
Just updates on,
Yeah.
yeah, on everything that we're already discussing.
then I will.
Thank you all so
Yeah.
much for tonight because a lot of great information and
Mhm.
really excited to be part of.
We're,
the
we're starting
board.
to get our legs under us.
Yeah, it's fantastic. And we appreciate all of you for taking time out and coming tonight.
I will entertain a motion to adjourn the meeting. All in favor? Oh, I guess you have to move.
Motion.
I'll second it.
Thank you. All in favor?
Bye.
All opposed? The meeting is adjourned. 7:18. We're still recording.